All right, welcome in everyone to a deep dive into the biggest events of 2024. You wanted the rundown of the year's highlights, so we went straight to the source, ABC's The Year 2024 special. They had everyone from Robin Roberts to David Muir weighing in on the news, the trends, all the moments that really defined last year. So are you ready to unpack all the drama, all the surprises of 2024?
Oh, absolutely. Always fascinating to see how they condense a whole year into a couple hours of television.
I know. It really is like a time capsule, like all the things that made us laugh and cry and everything in between. Speaking of making us cry, can we talk about that presidential election? They really highlighted how close that race was between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And to think it all started with Biden in the running. Remember that first debate?
Yeah, that first debate really shook things up. Some commentators were even speculating that it might have contributed to Biden stepping down as the Democratic nominee.
Right. And then that's when things got really interesting. Harris steps in, brings a totally different energy to the campaign. But in the end, Trump pulls off his second term. I mean, talk about a plot twist.
Yeah. Definitely raises some questions about the future of American politics.
Yeah.
What will a second Trump presidency mean, not just for the country, but for the world?
Big questions indeed. And while the U.S. was dealing with all that political drama, the world was facing some pretty serious challenges of its own. And the special didn't shy away from those either. The Israel-Gaza conflict, entering its second year now, was a major focus. And it sounds like things have gotten even more complicated over there.
Yeah, unfortunately. The footage they showed really emphasized the impact on civilians. And with Iran and Hezbollah now involved, it's clear there are no easy solutions.
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking to see. And on a slightly more hopeful note, the war in Ukraine passed the 1,000-day mark, but the special pointed out that there might be a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, Zelensky's signaling that he's open to peace talks with Russia. That was definitely one of the more positive takeaways from the special. Of course, we'll have to wait and see if anything comes of it.
Fingers crossed. All right, I need to shift gears for a second because I'm still processing all the pop culture moments of 2024. Taylor Swift, for one, absolutely dominated the year.
It really was the year of Taylor. New album, Tortured Poets Department, that record-breaking Eras tour. She's a force of nature.
Tell me about it. And of course, the internet went wild for her and Travis Kelce. And speaking of wild, did you see that Charlie XCX song, Kamala's Brat, went viral during the election?
Oh, I definitely saw that. Yeah, just another example of how music and politics are intertwined these days.
So true. Okay, before we move on, we have to talk about Glenn Powell. From Anyone But You to Hitman to Twisters, he was everywhere. The special even called him the hardest working man in Hollywood.
And he wasn't just churning out movies. He was delivering critically acclaimed performances. Really, you can't deny his talent or his versatility.
Totally. And on the small screen, Shogun was the show to watch. I mean, Anna Sawai and Hiroyuki Sanada swept the Emmys for their roles, and the show itself took home outstanding drama.
Yeah, they had a really interesting segment about Shogun, talking about how it really resonated with viewers. The complex characters and the historical setting.
It's proof that great storytelling can connect with people from all backgrounds. And speaking of connecting, let's dish about some celebrity couples. Remember Bennifer 2.0, the reunion that had everyone buzzing? Well, looks like fairy tales don't always last, because J-Lo filed for divorce from Affleck.
Yeah, remember all the media frenzy when they got back together? The special even had like a whole montage of their most iconic moments from like the early 2000s and then, their recent reunion. Shame it didn't work out.
It really is. And Natalie Portman and Benjamin Millepied also called it quits after 12 years together. Makes you wonder what goes on behind closed doors, huh?
Yeah, I think the special kind of highlighted how even the most perfect couples have their challenges. It's a reminder that relationships, even those in the spotlight, they're complex.
So true. But don't worry, it wasn't all heartbreak and drama in the celebrity world. Hailey and Justin Bieber had a baby boy. And we saw Golden Bachelorette Joan Vassos get engaged to Chalk Chapel.
I love that Joan Vassos found love. They had some really sweet footage from their engagement party. It's nice to know that amidst all the chaos, there's still room for happy endings.
Speaking of chaos, the legal world had its fair share of headline-grabbing moments. Diddy pleaded not guilty to some pretty serious charges. The Menendez brothers case resurfaced. And Chad Daybell was given a death sentence for triple murder.
Wow, it was definitely a year of high-profile trials and verdicts. The special did a good job of breaking down each case and, explaining the key legal issues involved.
It did, but what wasn't heavy? That Dancing with the Stars leg lift trend. That thing went viral. Everybody was doing it.
I have to admit, I even tried it myself. It was just a fun, lighthearted trend that, like, captured everyone's imagination.
Oh, yeah. And who could forget that incredible rescue of that woman, dangling in her semi-truck over the Clark Memorial Bridge in Kentucky? It was like something out of a movie.
Oh, yeah. The special had some pretty breathtaking footage of that rescue.
Yeah.
Talk about brave first responders and the resilience of the human spirit.
Absolutely. And remember that solar eclipse? They showed some stunning images of that. Just one of those moments where you have to stop and appreciate the beauty of nature.
It really was. Reminder of how small we are in the grand scheme of things.
And speaking of things that make you feel small, AI was everywhere in 2024.
It's incredible how quickly it's become integrated into our lives.
Yeah.
I mean, they showcase everything from AI writing breakup texts to self-driving cars.
I know, it's like mind-blowing on the one hand, but then on the other hand, it kind of makes you wonder where it all ends. Are we ready to hand over the wheel?
It is a big question, and one that we'll have to grapple with as AI keeps evolving.
Yeah, the special did touch on some of the ethical concerns. Things like job displacement and the need for responsible development.
Definitely food for thought there. Now, on a more somber note, we have to acknowledge the passing of some true icons this year. The special had a really moving tribute to those we lost, including Maggie Smith, Tira Garr, Carl Weathers, Donald Sutherland, Shelley Duvall, James Earl Jones, Chris Christopherson, Quincy Jones, and Liam Payne. Wow, they were all giants in their respective fields. Their contributions to the arts and entertainment world will be missed.
It's amazing to think of the impact they had on our culture. Okay, ready for some sports highlights. Katie Ledecky became the most decorated female U.S. Olympian ever. The special showed some of her most memorable races. It was just incredible to watch her dominance in the pool.
Her dedication and work ethic are truly inspiring. And speaking of inspiring, Simone Biles. Her comeback after stepping back for her mental health, that was a big part of the Olympics coverage.
She really is such a powerful advocate for mental health awareness. To see her come back and win multiple medals, just amazing.
Yeah, testament to her strength, physically and mentally.
Absolutely. And how about Hunter Woodhall and Tara Davis Woodhall, the married couple who both won gold? Their story was just so heartwarming.
Yeah, the special highlighted how they supported each other on their journey to the Olympics. Just a beautiful example of teamwork and love.
It gave me all the feels. Okay, beyond the Olympics, the Kansas City Chiefs, they got their second Super Bowl win in a row. The New York Liberty, they made history with their first championship title. And the Dodgers took home the World Series.
Yeah, it was a year filled with some really exciting victories, both expected and unexpected. They even had a whole segment on the rise of women's sports with the Liberty's win as a prime example.
I love that. So inspiring to see women breaking barriers and achieving greatness in sports. Looking back at everything we've talked about, it's clear that 2024 was a year of extremes, from those highs of Olympic glory to the lows of global conflict. It's interesting to think about how they're all connected, though, like they all play a role in the larger story of our time.
Exactly. And that's what makes these year in review specials so interesting. They give you that bigger picture, help you see how all these seemingly separate events are actually woven together.
So what do you think? What are the lasting effects of all these events? What will we remember about 2024 10 years from now?
That's a good question. I think the political landscape will obviously continue to be a big focus, especially with the second Trump presidency. How will his policies impact the country, the world, and how will those political divisions that were so evident during the election, how will they play out in the years to come?
Those are definitely questions that will keep us all on the edge of our seats. And what about AI? It feels like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible. But it's already having such a big impact on our lives. Do you think the special really captured how big of a shift this is?
I think they did a good job of highlighting the potential, both the good and the bad. It definitely got me thinking about what the future holds. Will we see even more AI integrated into our lives? And how are we going to navigate those ethical issues that come with it?
Big questions to think about. And let's not forget about the cultural shifts that are happening right now. Everything from the music we listen to the movies we watch, to like the viral trends, it all reflects the changing values of our society. What stood out to you in that regard?
I was really struck by the conversation about diversity and representation in entertainment. Shows like Shogun, with its international cast and those complex storylines, it's challenging those traditional Hollywood narratives. And it's giving a voice to people who've been marginalized in the past.
It's exciting to see those changes happening. Makes me optimistic about the future of storytelling. I think audiences really want those more authentic, more inclusive stories, right? Stories that reflect the world we live in. think this trend will continue.
I hope so. It's not just about entertainment. It's about creating a more just world where everyone feels seen and heard. And that brings us back to something really important.
Yeah.
It's easy to get overwhelmed by all the stuff happening around us. But we got to remember, we're not just watching from the sidelines. We can actually shape the future, contribute to that cultural conversation, demand a better world.
So what can we do as individuals? I mean, how can we make a difference? How do we put these ideas into action?
Well, I think it starts with staying informed, engaging in, thoughtful conversations with people who have different views, supporting causes you believe in, holding our leaders accountable.
Sounds simple, but it's true. Every action, big or small, it can have a ripple effect. So as we look back on 2024, let's remember that we have the power to write the next chapter. We can focus on the negative, or we can choose to be part of positive change.
I love that perspective. It's a reminder that even with all the challenges, all the uncertainty, we still have a choice.
Speaking of challenges and uncertainty, let's circle back to AI for a second. The special did a good job of showing how it's changing our world, from the way we work to the way we connect with each other.
Yeah, and with AI evolving so quickly, it's natural to wonder how it's going to change our understanding of what it means to be human. The special touched on this a little bit, but it's a topic that deserves more attention.
Absolutely. It's like we're at the beginning of a whole new era, and we're still trying to figure out the rules. So, before we wrap up, I have one last question for you, and for everyone listening.
Okay, I'm listening.
With AI becoming more and more a part of our lives, how will it change what it means to be human? Will it make us more human or less? And where do we draw that line between human and machine?
Wow, those are some big questions. Questions we'll need to grapple with, both individually and as a society.
It's a lot to think about, but I think it's a conversation worth having. And I hope this deep dive has given you all some things to ponder as you navigate this crazy world we live in.
It really does. It makes you think, what will the future look like? What role will technology play, in shaping who we are?
Definitely a lot to consider.
As we kind of navigate this uncharted territory, I think it's really important to have these conversations, to think about the ethics of AI and make sure that, its development aligns with our values.
Absolutely. It's not just about the tech itself. It's about how we use it, right? The choices we make as individuals, as a society.
Exactly. And, that brings us back to the power of human connection, the importance of engaging with the world around us, whether it's through art or music, politics, or even just, the conversations we have. I think we all have that ability to shape the story, create a future that we can all be proud of.
Well said. So as we wrap up our deep dive into 2024, let's take these insights, these questions with us into the new year. Let's be curious, let's stay engaged, and be proactive in creating the world we want to live in.
Yeah. And let's not forget to celebrate the human spirit. We've seen it time and time again, people facing adversity and overcoming challenges. That's something worth holding on to.
Absolutely. So to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this journey through all the ups and downs of 2024.
Yeah, it was a year that definitely tested us, inspired us, but ultimately, I think, reminded us of just how incredible, how resilient we are.
Here's to 2025 and all the possibilities it holds.
Cheers to that.